What's up? What's up, you guys? I'm so excited. Today has already been a busy morning. I'm actually recording this. If you watch it the day it is uploaded, I am recording it same day. I'm recording it and uploading today. Today is week 2, day 3 of the Bible reading plan. Again, I am following, and if you're following along, I'm following the Bible in 52 weeks. I'm following their specific reading plan. But it is 8:32 a.m. California time. And I just finished filming at 6:30 a.m. a children's ministry. My brain. I did not film children's ministry. I was in children's ministry before. I filmed for women's ministry for my church on Facebook Live. I just did that this morning at 6:30 a.m. It is now 8:32 a.m. So it is a busy, busy morning, but it's just, I'm so excited for what God is doing. God is so good, you guys. So anyways, let's just hop right into it. We are going to be reading Genesis 30 to 33. I will be tapping into other translations, you guys. I know some of you guys always, or not always, but there's been a comment about what translation I'm using. Today, I am going to be using the NLT again. This is like my NLT study Bible. If you guys want me to do like a really quick little video on like different translations, I can totally do that for you guys. Let me know if there is something, a topic that you really want to see. Let me know in the comments on this video of a topic that you would like me to film. Anything Christian related, anything Christian advice, Christian from a mom. I'm a mom. I have an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old. I created this channel to help beginners, like Christian beginners, people that are just following Christ. It's the best decision you ever made if you've already made it. And if not, it is the best decision you will ever make is to follow Christ. And so if you guys need help with like a certain topic or whatever, let me know. I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve and be of service. So for today, day 3, it is Genesis 30 to 33. And let's just get started right away on reading that. So chapter 30 says, when Rachel saw that she wasn't having any children for Jacob, she became jealous of her sister. She pleaded with Jacob, give me children or I'll die. Then Jacob became furious with Rachel. Am I God? He asked. He's the one who has kept you from having children. Then Rachel told him, take my maid Bilhah and sleep with her. She will bear children for me, and through her I can have a family too. So Rachel gave her servant Bilhah to Jacob as a wife, and he slept with her. Bilhah became pregnant and presented him with a son. Rachel named him Dan. Dan, finally a name I can pronounce. She named him Dan. For she said, God has vindicated me. He has heard my request and given me a son. Then Bilhah became pregnant again and gave Jacob a second son. Rachel named him Naphtali, for she said, I have struggled hard with my sister and I'm winning. Meanwhile, Leah realized that she wasn't getting pregnant anymore, so she took her servant Zilpah, and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Soon Zilpah presented him with a son. Leah named him Gad, for she said, fortunate I am. Then Zilpah gave Jacob a second son, and Leah named him Asher, for she said, what joy is mine. Now the other women will celebrate with me. One day during the wheat harvest, Reuben found some mandrakes growing in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Rachel begged Leah, please give me some of your son's mandrakes. But Leah angrily replied, wasn't it enough that you stole my husband? Sister rivalry. Wasn't it enough that you stole my husband? Now you will steal my son's mandrakes too? Question mark. Rachel answered, I will let Jacob. Oh gosh. Okay, sorry, I'm reading ahead in my head. Rachel answered, I will let Jacob sleep with you tonight if you give me some of the mandrakes. So that evening, as Jacob was coming home from the fields, Leah went out to meet him. You must come and sleep with me tonight, she said. I have paid for you with some mandrakes that my son found. So that night he slept with Leah. And God answered Leah's prayer. She became pregnant again and gave birth to a fifth son for Jacob. She named him Ishkar, for she said, God has rewarded me for giving my servant to my husband as a wife. Then Leah became pregnant again and gave birth to a sixth son for Jacob. She named him Zebulun, for she said, God has given me a good reward. Now my husband will treat me with respect, for I have given him six sons. Later, she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel's plight and answered her prayers by enabling her to have children. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son. God has removed my disgrace, she said, and she named him Joseph, for she said, may the Lord add yet another son to my family. Now we're reading about Jacob's wealth increases. We are at verse 25. And again, we are in the NLT translation today. Soon after Rachel had given birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, please release me so I can go home to my own country. Let me take my wives and children, for I have earned them by serving you, and let me be on my way. You certainly know how hard I have worked for you. Please listen to me, Laban replied. I have become wealthy, for the Lord has blessed me because of you. You see that? For the Lord has blessed me because of you. When you are in fellowship with God, like, not only will you get blessed, but the people around you will be blessed as well because of your fellowship with God. So the blessings overflow into the people around you. And so we are, okay, let's see. I always lose my spot. I'm so sorry. Okay, for the Lord has blessed me because of you. Tell me how much I owe you. Whatever it is, I'll pay it. Jacob replied, you know how hard I worked for you and how your flocks and herds have grown under my care. You had little indeed before I came, but your wealth has increased enormously. The Lord has blessed you through everything I've done. But now what about me? When can I start providing for my own family? What wages do you want? Laban asked again. So he's like trying to be like, come on, man. And it says, Jacob replied, don't give me anything. Just do this one thing and I'll continue to tend and watch over your flocks. Let me inspect your flocks today and remove all the sheep and goats that are speckled or spotted, along with all the black sheep. Give these to me as my wages. In the future, when you check on the animals you have given me as my wages, you'll see that I have been honest. If you find in my flock any goats without speckles or spots, or any sheep that are not black, you will know that I have stolen from you. All right, Laban replied, it will be as you say. But that very day, Laban went out and removed the male goats that were all streaked and spotted, all the female goats that were speckled and spotted or had white patches, and all the black sheep. He placed them in the care of his own sons. Who took them a 3 days journey from where Jacob was. Meanwhile, Jacob stayed and cared for the rest of Laban's flock. Then Jacob took some fresh branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees and peeled off strips of bark, making white streaks on them. Then he placed these peeled branches in the watering troughs where the flocks came to drink, for that was where they mated. And when they mated in front of the white streaked branches, they gave birth to young that were streaked, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated those lambs from Laban's flock, and at mating time he returned the flock to face Laban's animals that were streaked or black. This is how he built his own flock instead of increasing Laban's. And so it says, whenever the stronger females were ready to mate, Jacob would place the peeled branches in the watering trugs in front of them. Then they would mate in front of the branches. But he didn't do this with the weaker ones. So the weaker lambs belonged to Laban and the stronger ones were Jacob's. As a result, Jacob became very wealthy with large flocks of sheep and goats, female and male servants, and many camels and donkeys. So that's chapter 31. Now we're moving on to that's chapter 30. Now we're moving on to chapter 31, which says Jacob flees from Laban. Remember, again, you guys, I've said this in previous videos. If you're looking for accurate and correct pronunciation, I highly suggest you go to the Bible app, which is free for that because they have audio Bible reading on there. So if you want to hear someone say these words accurately, I would go there. These videos are to encourage you to just get in your word and start reading every single day. And so I am committed to doing that this entire year so that I can read my Bible finally all the way through this whole year. And so that you can do it too if you're following along, because I do suggest that you read all of these verses, all these chapters on your own time, and then just come on for like encouragement, come on for commentary, whatever, come on and bring your Bible out and just enjoy this time together. But for accuracy on pronunciation, I do again suggest that you go to the Bible app. Okay, it's a free app. I love that app. I use it all the time. And I do use it to listen to the Bible as well. But my brain, like, I cannot remember the pronunciation of all of these very difficult words. So, anyways, just saying. Okay, so chapter 31, which says that Jacob flees from Laban, but Jacob soon learned that Laban's sons were grumbling about him. Jacob has robbed our father of everything. They said he has gained all his wealth at our father's expense. And Jacob began to notice a change in Laban's attitude toward him. Then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your father and grandfather and to your relatives there, and I will be with you. So Jacob called Rachel and Leah out to the field where he was watching his flocks. He said to them, I have noticed that your father's attitude toward me has changed, but the God of my father has been with me. You know how hard I have worked for your father, but he has cheated me, changing my wages 10 times, but God has not allowed him to do me any harm. For if he said the speckled animals will be your wages, the whole flock began to produce speckled young. That's the beautiful thing about being in relationship again with God, is he will bless you. He will bless everything that you do. What I like to do before I do anything is ask for God's blessing. You know, the Bible, there's scripture, asking you shall receive, like ask, seek, knock. And so I like to ask, like I ask for God's blessing on everything, even this YouTube channel. You know, I'm like, Lord, bless this channel, help this reach the right people, help this reach your children, help this reach the people that this will be a blessing to. And so I highly encourage you to ask for God's blessing in everything that you are doing and everything that you are thinking of doing, of everything you are deciding to do. Ask for his hand and his blessing beforehand so that it is blessed, so that it is blessed. Okay, there's so many testimonies that I have on asking for God's hand and blessing and guidance, and he has done the impossible. Like he has done the miraculous in so many ways in my life. And so I encourage you to do that, because you will see the difference from when you don't ask for his blessing and when you do, because he is so good to his children. He wants us to be blessed. And so it says, we're in verse 8, and it says, and when he changed his mind and said the striped animals will be your wages, and then the whole flock produced striped young. In this way, God has taken your father's animals and given them to me. Verse 10 says, one time during the mating season, I had a dream and saw that the male goats mating with the females were streaked, speckled, and spotted. Then in my dream, the angel of God said to me, Jacob, and I replied, yes, here I am. Verse 12 says, the angel said, look up and you will see that only the streaked, speckled, and spotted males are mating with the females of your flock. For I have seen how Laban has treated you. So God is watching over us. I love that. Verse 13 says, and again, we're reading their story, right? We're reading about Jacob. This is historical information that we are reading, but we can learn from this historical information because, you know, God is the same. What is it? Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And so how he has loved and cared for his children here in Jacob's life and Abraham's life and Sarah's life and in all of their lives, he cares and takes care of his children now, today, in the present. Okay. And so this isn't just something we just read, but these are patterns that we can learn. This is how we are learning the character of the God that we serve, who is such a good God. Okay, so now it says, for I have seen how Laban has treated you. I am the God who appeared to you at Bethel, the place where you anointed the pillar of stone and made your vow to me. Now get ready and leave this country and return to the land of your birth. Rachel and Leah responded, that's fine with us. We won't inherit any of our father's wealth anyway. He has reduced our rights to those of foreign women. And after he sold us, he wasted the money you paid him for us. All the wealth God has given you from our father legally belongs to us and our children. So go ahead and do whatever God has told you. So Jacob put his wives and children on camels, and he drove all his livestock in front of him. He packed all the belongings he had acquired in Paddan Aram and set out for the land of Canaan, where his father Isaac lived. At the time they left, Laban was some distance away shearing his sheep. Rachel stole her father's household idols and took them with her. Jacob outwitted Laban and Jacob outwitted Laban the Aramean, for they set out secretly and never told Laban that they were leaving. So Jacob took all his possessions with him and crossed the Euphrates River, heading for the hill country of Gilead. So Laban, now we're on Laban pursues Jacob. We're in verse 22. It says, 3 days later, Laban was told that Jacob had fled, so he gathered a group of his relatives and set out in hot pursuit. He caught up with Jacob 7 days later in the hill country of Gilead, but the previous night God had appeared to Laban the Aramean in a dream and told him, I'm warning you, leave Jacob alone. Laban caught up with Jacob as he was camped in the hill country of Gilead, and he set up his camp not far from Jacob. So what do you mean by deceiving me like this? Laban demanded. How dare you drag my daughters away like prisoners of war? Why did you slip away secretly? Why did you deceive me? And why didn't you say you wanted to leave? I would have given you a farewell feast. So he says, with singing and music, accompanied by tambourines and harps. Why didn't you let me kiss my daughters and grandchildren and tell them goodbye? You have acted very foolishly. I could destroy you. But the God of your father appeared to me last night and warned me, leave Jacob alone. I can understand your feeling that you must go and your intense longing for your father's home. But why have you stolen my gods? Because remember, I believe it says Rachel, right? Rachel took his idols. Yes. Okay, so I know his daughter took it. Okay, so it says 31 says, I rushed away because I was afraid. Jacob answered, I thought you would take your daughters from me by force, but as for your gods, see if you can find them and let the person who has taken them die, because he didn't know that it was his wife who took them, and that's why he said that. So it says, and if you find anything else that belongs to you, identify it before all these relatives of ours, and I will give it back. But Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the household idols, Rachel, who he loves. So it says, Laban went first into Jacob's tent to search there, then into Leah's, and then the tents of the two servant wives, but he found nothing. Finally, he went into Rachel's tent, but Rachel had taken the household idols and hidden them in her camel's saddle, and now she was sitting on them. When Laban had thoroughly searched her tent without finding them, she said to her father, please, sir, forgive me if I don't get up for you. I'm having my monthly period. So Laban continued his search, but he could not find the household idols. Then Jacob became very angry and he challenged Laban. What's my crime? He demanded. What have I done wrong to make you chase after me as though I were a criminal? You have rummaged through everything I own. Now show me what you found that belongs to you. Set it out here in front of us before our relatives for all to see. Let them judge between us. For 20 years I have been with you caring for your flocks, and all that time your sheep and goats never miscarried. In all those years I never used a single ram of yours for food. If any were attacked and killed by wild animals, I never showed you the carcass and asked you to reduce the count of your flock. No, I took the loss myself. You made me pay for every stolen animal, whether it was taken in broad daylight or in the dark of night. It says, I worked for you I worked for you through the scorching heat of the day and through cold and sleepless nights. Yes, for 20 years I slaved in your house. I worked for 14 years earning your 2 daughters and then 6 more years for your flock, and you changed my wages 10 times. In fact, if the God of my father had not been on my side, the God of Abraham and the fearsome God of Isaac, you would have sent me away empty handed. Wow. But God has seen your abuse and my hard work. This is why he appeared to you last night and rebuked you. Wow. Our God will rebuke others for us. That's like what I am saying from this, you know? And then it says, Jacob's treaty with Laban, we're in verse 43. We're still in chapter 31. It says, then Laban replied to Jacob, these women are my daughters, these children are my grandchildren, and these flocks are my flocks. In fact, everything you see is mine, but what can I do now about my daughters and their children? So come, let's make a covenant, you and I, and it will be a witness to our commitment. Wait, to you and I, and it will be a witness to our commitment. So Jacob set a stone and set it up as a monument. Then he told his family members, gather some stones. So they gathered stones and piled them in a heap. Then Jacob and Laban sat down beside the pile of stones to eat a covenant meal to commemorate to commemorate. I can't talk. The event. I can't talk. See, we got to change the dialogues in our head. Like it's like a daily, hourly, minutely thing. Okay. Okay. I can talk. I can talk. Okay. To commemorate the event, Laban called the place Jagar Sahadutha, which means witness pile in Aramic. And Jacob called it Gilead, which means witness pile in Hebrew. Then Laban declared, the pile of stones will stand as a witness to remind us of the covenant we have made today. This explains why it was called Gilead. Is it Gilead? Gilead, witness pile, but it was also called Mizpah, which means watchtower. For Laban said, may the Lord keep watch between us to make sure that we keep this covenant when we are out of each other's sight. If you mistreat my daughters or if you marry other wives, God will see it even if no one else does. He is a witness to this covenant between us. See this pile of stones, Laban continued, and see this monument I have set between us. They stand between us as witnesses of our vows. I will never pass this pile of stones to harm you, and you must never pass these stones or this monument to harm me. I call on the God of our ancestors, the God of your grandfather Abraham, and the God of my grandfather Nahor, to serve as a judge between us. So Jacob took an oath before the fearsome God of his father Isaac to respect the boundary line. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice to God there on the mountain and invited everyone to a covenant feast. After they had eaten, they spent the night on the mountain. Laban got up early the next morning and he kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left and returned home. And that concludes chapters 31 now. So we're going to go on to, we have chapter 32 today and chapter 33, and that'll conclude today's reading. Okay. So chapter 32 says, as Jacob started on his way again, angels of God came to meet him. When Jacob saw them, he exclaimed, this is God's camp. So he named the place Mahanaim. Jacob sends gifts to Esau. Then Jacob sent messengers ahead to his brother Esau, who was living in the region of Seir, in the land of Edom. He told them, give this message to my master Esau, humble greetings from your servant Jacob. Until now I have been living with Uncle Laban, and now I own cattle, donkeys, flocks of sheep and goats, and many servants, both men and women. I have sent these messengers to inform my lord of my coming, hoping that you will be friendly to me. It says, after delivering the message, the messengers returned to Jacob and reported, we met your brother Esau, and he is already on his way to meet you with an army of 400 men. Jacob was terrified at the news. He divided his household along with his flocks and herds and camels into two groups. He thought if Esau meets one group and attacks it, perhaps the other group can escape. Then Jacob prayed, O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, you told me return to your own land. and to your relatives, and you promised me I would treat you kindly. I am not worthy of all the unfailing love and faithfulness you have shown me, your servant. When I left home and crossed the Jordan River, I owned nothing except a walking stick. Now my household fills 2 large camps. Oh Lord, please rescue me from the hands of my brother Esau. I am afraid that he is coming to attack me along with my wives and children. But you promised me, I will surely treat you kindly, and I will multiply your descendants until they become as numerous as the sands along the seashore, too many to count. Jacob stayed where he was for the night. Then he selected these gifts from his possessions to present to his brother Esau. 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 male donkeys. He divided these animals into herds and assigned each to different servants. Then he told his servants, go ahead of me with the animals, but keep some distance between the herds. Verse 17 says, he gave these instructions to the men leading the first group. When my brother Esau meets you, he will ask, whose servants are you? Where are you going? Who owns these animals? You must reply, they belong to your servant Jacob, but they are a gift for his master Esau. Look, he is coming right behind us. Jacob gave the same instructions to the second and third herdsmen and to all who followed behind the herds. You must say the same thing to Esau when you meet him, and be sure to say, look, your servant Jacob is right behind us. Jacob thought, I will try to appease him by sending gifts ahead of me. When I see him in person, perhaps he will be friendly to me. So the gifts were sent ahead, while Jacob himself spent the night in the camp. And so now we're going to read about when Jacob wrestles with God. That's the title here in this NLT translation. Verse 22 says, during the night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the Jabbok River with them. After taking them to the other side, he sent over all his possessions. This left Jacob all alone in the camp, and a man came and wrestled with him until the dawn began to break. When the man saw that he would not win the match, he touched Jacob's hip and wrenched it out of its socket. Then the man said, let me go, for the dawn is breaking. But Jacob said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. Verse 27 says, what is your name? The man asked. He replied, Jacob. And then verse 28 says, your name will no longer be Jacob. The man told him, from now on you will be called Israel, because you have fought with God and with men and have won. And that just kind of reminds me how, when we are in prayer with God, like, stay in it, stay persistent. I looked up these definitions in the Hebrew Greek Bible, and it means to persist, to exert yourself, to persevere. So when you're going through a trial, a really difficult time, don't give up, don't let up, keep coming to God in prayer, keep letting him know everything, keep telling him to transform you, to help you, to give you strength to get through it. And he will do it. And so it says, please tell me your name. Jacob said, what do you want to, why do you want to know my name? The man replied, then he blessed Jacob there. So remember, Jacob fought, and he said, I'm not letting you go unless you bless me. And because he continued to hang on, he continued to pray, he continued to fight, to wrestle, then we see, then he blessed Jacob there. Okay, so just hang on. It says that Jacob named the place Peniel, I'm not sure, which means face of God, for he said, I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been spared. The sun was rising as Jacob left Peniel, and he was limping because of the injury to his hip. Even today, the people of Israel don't eat the tendon near the hip socket because of what happened that night when the man strained the tendon of Jacob's hip. Wow. Every time I read the Bible, I'm just like, wow. Okay, now that concludes verse 32. We're going to read the last chapter that concludes chapter 32. We're going to read the last chapter for today, which is chapter 33. Again, we're on day 3, week 2 and we're doing Genesis chapters 30 to 33. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly encourage you to subscribe and continue to follow along with us in these Bible readings. I upload the Bible readings Monday through Saturday. And so in the description, you can find which readings I will be uploading and reading daily. Okay. And so the 7th day is really left there to encourage you guys to catch up on any readings on your own time, because hopefully you are reading and doing this with you and God. And so with you and God alone, and then hopefully hopping on these videos and watching for encouragement. Okay, so chapter 33 says that Jacob and Esau make peace. Jacob and Esau make peace. Remember, they're brothers. And so it says, then Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and his 2 servant wives. He put the servant wives and their children at the front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then Jacob went on ahead. As he approached his brother, he bowed to the ground 7 times before him. Then Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they both wept. Because remember, you guys, they're reuniting. They're reuniting from when Jacob left, from all his trickery, remember, from tricking Esau and stuff, if I'm getting it correctly. And so now they're like embracing and they're weeping. That's so beautiful. I love it. Okay. Verse 5, I hear my children coming. So if they do come down, I'll pause and then continue finishing this video. So verse 5 says, then Esau looked at the women and children and asked, who are these people with you? These are the children God has graciously given to me, your servant. Jacob replied. Then the servant wives came forward with their children. And bowed before him. Next came Leah with her children, and they bowed before him. Finally, Joseph and Rachel came forward and bowed before him. Just one moment, you guys. Okay, you guys, sorry, my kids got up. So, but let me finish reading this. So we stopped at verse 7, but let me just repeat it. So verse 7 says, and next came Leah with her children, and they bowed before him. Finally, Joseph and Rachel came forward and bowed before him. Verse 8 says, and again, we're on chapter 33. And what were all the flocks and herds I met as I came? Esau asked. Jacob replied, they are a gift, my lord, to ensure your friendship. My brother, I have plenty, Esau answered. Keep what you have for yourself. I love this, like, Esau didn't hold a grudge. Like, they're just like happy for each other. They're embracing. Like, I love that, you guys. Honestly, forgive. Like, there's so much freedom and joy in forgiveness. Like, just forgive everyone. The faster you can forgive them, the better. Trust me. I've been the type of person who will like wait longer to say I'm sorry. Like, cause I'm like, no, I'm not going to admit I'm wrong. Like, I'm not going to say sorry first. Like, they have to say sorry first, And then I ended up, like, as I matured, even in like my relationship with my husband, I ended up realizing like it's way better, trust me, to be the first one to say sorry. Not only to be the first one, but to do it immediately. Like, as soon as you know you're in the wrong, you need to say sorry. And even if you're not, like, just apologize. If someone feels that you have offended them, then just apologize. At least that's what I think, because, and also people will learn from your example, because I know when I started realizing I'm just going to say sorry and admit my faults right away. Why should I try to be like, oh, I don't have faults or whatever? I'm like, that's so much more damaging and it's so much more stressful and it just like brings you down. And so now I'm like, I say sorry right away. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I have so many faults. I'm not perfect. I'm so sorry. Like, please forgive me. And like, you just move on with your day faster. Like, you just move on faster. It's like so much more joyful, faster. And I feel like my husband saw that, noted that, because we've been saying sorry right away since years ago already. We've been together a really long time. And so he does it too. So he'll say sorry right away too. He's like, I'm sorry, blah, 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 and we just move on, like, So anyways, So I love this like communion. I love that they're just embracing each other. I love that no hard feelings are showing. Like they're just loving each other, like enjoying life, you know? And then he's saying, you know, keep what you have for yourself. But Jacob insisted, no, if I have found favor with you, please accept this gift from me. And what a relief to see your friendly smile. It is like seeing the face of God. Please take this gift I have brought you. For God has been very gracious to me. I have more than enough. And because Jacob insisted, Esau finally accepted the gift. Well, Esau said, let's be going. Let's be going. I will lead the way. But Jacob replied, you can see, my lord, that some of my children are very young, and the flocks and herds have their young too. If they are driven too hard, even for one day, all the animals could die. Please, my lord, go ahead of your servant. We will follow slowly at a pace that is comfortable for the livestock and the children. I will meet you at Seir. And so that's super important, you guys. So Jacob, you know, is a husband and the father. He's not trying to go at the speed of Esau. Like when I read this, this is what I get from it. Okay. He's not trying to go at the speed of Esau because he is a family man. He has his family to care for. He has their needs to care for. He has their physical needs to care for. And I think it's important, you know, as we are having a family, as we're married, have children, and we're going into ministry, you know, whatever path in ministry that God is calling you for, that you do care for your family, that, you know, that they have their place, their solid place, because family is ministry too. You know, I homeschool my children, and in homeschooling them, I have seen their growth in their relationship with God just skyrocket. Like it's unbelievable. You know, when you put that time, when you put that effort, when you put that every single day in your children, in your spouse, your husband, your wife, whatever, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And so again, you know, your family is your ministry too, and that's of high importance. So we're at, okay, so I will meet you at Sir. All right, Esau said, but at least let me assign some of my men to guide and protect you. Jacob responded, that's not necessary. It's enough that you received me warmly, my lord. So Esau turned around and started back to Sir that same day. Jacob, on the other hand, traveled on to Succoth. There he built himself a house and made shelters for his livestock. That is why the place was named Succoth, which means shelters. And then we're almost done. So it says, we're on verse 18, chapter 33, which says, later, having traveled all the way from Padan Aram, Jacob arrived safely at the town of Shechem, I don't know, in the land of Canaan. There he set up camp outside the town. Jacob bought the plot of land where he camped from the family of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver. And there he built an altar and named it El Elohi Israel. And that concludes our reading for today, you guys, which is Genesis. We're on week 2, day 3, Genesis chapters 30 to 33. Tomorrow we will be reading Genesis chapters 34 to 36. Whenever God does anything for you, you should take the moment and the time right then and there to bow down and to thank the Lord. And right now, you guys, as I'm checking my YouTube, I just got over 1,000 subscribers. This fluctuates, some come, some leave, and that's just the way it is. But as of now, 9:18 a.m., I have 1,014 subscribers. So I just want to thank you guys for joining me on this journey. I want to thank you for all the amazing, encouraging comments. I love you guys. I'm so excited to see where God takes this. To see where God takes this community that we are building together. I love you guys. Bye.